Hi, I'm Bernie Stone. Stay tuned. Taped with Rabbi Doug is next.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here at Indian Boundary Park in West Rogers Park here in Chicago, Illinois today for a rally to save the Indian Boundary Park Zoo. Indian Boundary Zoo has been here since the early 1900s, and today, due to certain regulations that have been set up, it seems that the government is requiring for them to have animals again in the zoo outside of petting animals, that they do renovations that could cost up to $2 million. The Park District is promoting a nature area instead of the zoo. The community wants their zoo back. This rally today, a number of community members have come together after a meeting earlier in the week to promote replacing the zoo and fixing it to be a zoo that is viable for the community, for the children in the community, for those who have lived here for their whole lives. And we're going to try and see that happen with this rally today. So stay with us here at Indian Boundary Park Zoo on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Everybody, we made a lot of copies of the agenda. If you'd like to know what our agenda is for today, I have that handout right here. We also have handouts of our fact sheet from the other night when we handed out a fact sheet.
Where's that?
Valerie has this. All right, my name is Jennifer Album. I don't know if you can all hear me. I'd like us to just, according to my agenda, which I set with help from lots of different people around the neighborhood, I'm introducing myself. I would like to tour us around the park so we can see the condition of the park today, the gardens, the zoo, the field house. You can ask some questions, but I'd like to sort of save questions towards the end. We'll go to the zoo. We have some speakers that people have agreed to be speakers for us, and they have experience and information beyond my own. So I have other people that I'm glad to turn this over to. Actually, I'd be glad to turn this over to anyone who wants to take over, not a problem. If anyone would like to speak and address the crowd, who I did not contact for just because it's been very busy. My daughter got engaged last night. If you would like to, thank you. She should be here. She's getting coffee and donuts for the kids, or not for the kids, for us. So if I didn't contact you, but you would like to speak, I have a place on the agenda for uninvited, not intentionally, uninvited speakers after the invited speakers, and then after that, questions and answers. Okay, so.
Should you introduce the rest of the group?
Okay, so.
Real fast.
First of all, we have a group here that has started helping out. It came from the advisory council, but it has expanded, and we've decided that a more effective name for a larger and expanded group with many different skills, interests, different education beyond what we had originally. This larger group, we've decided, if it's okay with you, to call the People United for an Improved Indian Boundary Park. We did not take a vote. We can vote on it later. Part of this group is, as I said, coming from the Advisory Council, which is Anne and Frank Glaba. Can you raise your hands? Karen and Valerie Benorik over here. Dan Rockefield, do I see him? No, he came and moderated the meeting on Wednesday night at a key moment.
Dahlia and Lee.
Dahlia, I don't see Dahlia. Yes, here, right in front of me. That's my problem. Wayne? Lee is right there. Lee Holohan, Dahlia Benz. Michael Oster and Brian Beringer back there they were most recently president and treasurer of the advisory council. They're moving from the neighborhood, so they have turned it over to some new people, and the advisory council is stepping back from this as the advisory council, and we wanted to make a new group. This is a very open group. We have a handout or a sheet to sign if you'd like to help and join that effort. Also separately a petition. So there's two things going around to sign up. Help, petition, whatever you like. We could definitely like to have your help in both. All right, so let's walk through the park.
Go forward, horsey.
We gotta put our microphone.
Well, it's not going to be for another half hour. Her mom just texted me.
House Gardens, since the field house burned down May 20th of last year, we've been waiting for the Park District to start their construction. I believe they started construction on the roof last week. And I just want to point out, behind the snow fencing is a ton of plants that we moved from the gardens that we planted around the field house that we would no longer be able to access because of this chain link fence. And we were trying to keep everything alive and prepared so when the field house would be done, we could move back the gardens and make the field house beautiful again. That's why there's that conglomeration there. Okay, let's keep going. Yes.
Tribune?
Yes.
Go find your grandpa and I'll bring him over.
I mean, they highlighted it. I don't know if I didn't bring it. It's no big deal, but they point out.
Okay, all right, we are here in front of the zoo. I'm pretty sure I don't have to point out to anybody that there's actually nothing behind me. Oh, by nothing I mean no animals. Of course, there is an empty enclosure. There's a rotting and falling down, probably fairly dangerous fence. There's an empty pond, which actually could hold water if anybody wanted to put it in there. To my left, which is your right, there is a cage enclosure which was terribly overgrown, and we cut down all of the weedy trees and took out tons of weedy plants and planted a bird sanctuary in there. That means that the Audubon Society, which actually has a pretty close connection to the park, they come here quite often to count the birds and to bird watch. They told us what to plant, they directed us, they guided us. So this Audubon helped out with our bird sanctuary.
Jen, what do you mean we?
Okay, I'm sorry. We is just like a group of volunteers who are interested in planting. There's different people in the neighborhood that like to plant. And they don't.
It wasn't the park.
Oh no, I'm sorry. If you thought that was the Chicago Park District, let me clarify. They said you may go in there and turn it into a bird sanctuary, and that's okay. And we did. We fundraised for the bird sanctuary. Michael really spearheaded a lot. The tree keepers came in, which has nothing to do with anyone really here. They're just an organization throughout all the parks.
They're with the Open Lands Project.
The Open Land, thank you. And so a group of people, who includes a lot of people, just wanted to see it happen and helped out.
When did you do that?
So this is over the last 2 years. We are looking for volunteers for weeding. Anytime.
So am I.
Aren't we all? Okay, so just pointing that out, that's a community organized, sponsored activity, the bird sanctuary over there. Everybody knows our playground was fundraised and created by the community in 1984, 1985. When the Park District told us we couldn't have a playground, the people said, but we really want a playground. And they worked very hard and they created that. Many people who were involved in that still feel really strongly about that playground today. That was a very important event in this neighborhood.
I was the co-chair.
Okay, Karen here was the co-chair.
Ask who was involved. Who built
Oh, raise your hands. If you're here and you're involved, raise your hands.
And you built
We have a
it.
Co-chair, people who raised. So thank you to everybody still. So over time, the advisory council did try to help maintain that. The Park District doesn't always maintain it so well. It's something that we do try to keep up. I think everybody in the neighborhood appreciates that playground. I know there's a few questions about if you can't see your kids, but people really do love that playground.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now the zoo The zoo that I'm not sure what the Park District is talking about, if they're including the bird sanctuary. It appeared to me from their plans that they were planning on tearing down all cage enclosures back here. Bird sanctuary and everything behind us here. There's a zoo building in there, which I think we will walk around and you can see the size. It's an obstructed view, but you can see the size of the zoo building that they had said they will rebuild for $350,000 for human use. All of this will come down and it will turn into, I think, 5 to 7 different areas, which I assume means that they have to take down the trees because certain things that they want to plant would need more light. I don't know if I want to speak to that. I heard all the details. I was at the meeting, but I think what I'd like to do is ask our speakers who I invited to come up and speak. They have 3 to 5 minutes, and then if you have something that you would like to perhaps present, then I welcome you to come up. Let me know who you are, and we will give you a chance to speak. Questions and answers, if possible, let's save those to the very end, okay? All right, so first I've got Daniel. Daniel. Okay, so Daniel has done a lot of interesting research, which I asked him to present today. He's got tons more, so we're just a summary. Oh yeah, be careful about leaning on the fence. This is in fact.
Daniel, tell us who you are and how you're connected, please.
My name is just Daniel Abel. I'm from the community, just lived out in the street, been here 13 years next to this park here. Been in the community for 20 years. Anyway, I attended the meeting, the rally Wednesday, and I just decided to do some due diligence on what I call MicroZoos. Zoos ensconced in neighborhoods and are small. And I just wanted to see other zoos that were similarly situated to ours, meaning that they're suffering from municipal cutbacks, and how are they faring? And the information was a little bit hard to dig up, but I did find, I want to talk about 2 zoos in the Midwest and what they're doing. And when it comes to Chicago, Chicago stands alone in that it really is true what some of the speakers at the Wednesday meeting are saying. Chicago stands alone in refusing volunteer staffing, refusing opportunities for corporate staffing, corporate sponsorship, refusing ideas for corporate sponsorship, refusing to partner with community residents to rescue the zoo, and refusing to repurpose existing assets for another type of collection. The first zoo I want to talk about, and I'm really just going to rush through this, and many of you may have heard of this zoo, is Lord's Park Zoo. Anyone heard of this? Elgin, Illinois, about 47 minutes away from here. This zoo has been in existence for 1895. Their inventory animals consist of bison, elk, and white-tailed deer. They've lost their farm zoo, but they want to bring that back. Like this zoo, it fell into a state of disrepair. The USDA did not allow it to accept baby bison. They were allowed to house their adult bison, but they worked the community. They have a 50-50 partnership, and they're proud of this with the city of Elgin, and they are still receiving funds from Elgin. They also do fundraising, and they received a new pair of bison from Brookfield Zoo. They have promised donations from Fermilab and from a tribe downstate, and that's coming about. They also have one of their head zookeepers is a former CPA who lives in the neighborhood, and they still are very receptive to other volunteers working on the zoo. And they have other fundraising ideas they routinely do, for around Halloween, and they have a website, Donate a Bale of Hay. They're continuing, and other such things. And the other one that's more very much germane to our situation is another one about 2 hours away to the east in Michigan, Sidmore Park Petting Zoo. This one really got my attention because I heard at the Wednesday meeting that we get $90,000 a year for this facility. This zoo also gets $90,000, but it has 63 animals. 63 animals, whereas we have 1 goat and 6 chickens. They get, okay?
There's a swan somewhere.
Not anymore. We're no longer have that, okay? But they get 63 animals, including a temperamental emu, a potbelly pig that wags his tail when you call his name, and a tortoise, okay? What I liked about this community, West Ridge alone has about 72,000 residents. This community has around 7,800 residents. They are 9 times. We are 9 times bigger, and they had received. They were on the chopping block. The zoo was in May of 2011, and they had their first fundraiser was 13 months later. They had a Kiss the Pig contest, and they raised $4,000, and that's about all I have for now. But
Time up.
Okay, thank
that's
you.
about it.
That's perfect, Daniel.
Thank you.
Daniel has provided his neighborhood website with a plethora of information. Just tons. And just stuff that he's looked up for the good of the neighborhood. Now Lena Daily has also agreed to speak to everybody today. Thank you, Lena.
Please tell us who you are and how you're connected.
Lena Daily. I'm a resident. Sorry. I haven't had to project for a long time. Lena Daily. I am a relatively new resident, being here only about 4 years. I live over on Estes, kitty corner from the park, and I'm trying. I live on Estes, kitty corner from the park, and it's the one reason I wanted to stay in this neighborhood. Friday, I was at a treehouse function where they had a speaker, a Dr. Vierig, who is a behavioral veterinarian who's written a book about human connection to animals, and he is now a behaviorist for zoo animals. And he spoke eloquently, and it moved me very much about how we need to connect with animals. That it is in our DNA practically to want to connect to them. And I thought about it, and I was really moved hearing him, and I knew why the zoo was so important to everybody, and why it's important for our children in the neighborhood. Because when are they going to get to see animals like this? Nowhere, unless you take them to the zoo. It's such an important thing, and I don't know how we can save it. I don't know what we can do, but I just wanted to let you know how there is a lot of feeling out there that zoos are not terrible places, and people need them to connect to the larger nature, and how moved I was by that. I also gave Jenny a contact for perhaps doing a radio interview on a WGN program by Steve Dale, who I met while I was at the fundraiser. So maybe we'll get a little more press about this issue. So
Thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so Lena, by the way, she signed our online petition. If you have not had a chance to sign the online petition, it is at the petition site. 3 words all together, the petition site. Search for Indian Boundary. Lena said, I live right near this park, and it is a wonderful place. It is unique, and now they want to turn it into another cookie cutter park. Shame on the powers that be. Thanks, Lena. Okay, our next speaker is Jimcalcagno. He's also really full of information. I asked him to just limit it, but I hope we can make available all of this information that he has provided.
Can you tell us your connection, please, Jim? Introduce yourself again.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jimcalcagno. I appreciate the no booing here. I live on Farwell. Lived here for about 15 years now, and I have 2 young children and we visit the park regularly and have done so ever since they were born. I just like to say I was just invited to this about an hour ago, and so I jotted a few quick notes down. First of all, I want to let you know that I enjoy actually do enjoy honest debates and controversies. I teach at Loyola University. My main area of instruction is evolutionary theory at a Jesuit institution. So controversy is no stranger to me. I also like honest debate, not necessarily cherry picking information to support a cause, but putting it out there. I just today put out a little bit of information about the AZA, and I'd like to make it clear, as I think case in point, in that article it notes that 90% of zoos aren't AZA accredited. That doesn't mean it's a good thing, doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think it is something that we need to consider. I also just want to say that I didn't join the march at the start, not out of any disrespect for anyone, but I didn't exactly know the purpose at that time. So, as I said in an earlier note, I don't join marches when I'm not sure what the purpose is. Second, I think that this is an extremely important decision for the neighborhood. That's why I'm here. I really sense this is a neighborhood of animal lovers, and everybody wants to do what they feel is best. I think a compromise is somewhere out there, but it's impossible to get to that point until details are out there as to what a nature center entails, what people want, what we can do. Can we call it a zoo? If it doesn't look exactly or an updated improvement of this, I don't know. But I think we can do things that would help animal lovers everywhere, and also importantly, key to me is helping the animals themselves. The other point I'd like to make is I understand the extreme distrust of the city and the park district after the selling of our parking spaces. I'm not sure how anybody can be very trustful. But I do feel like the city here is offering to put some serious money into this park, which astounds me given our current situation. So I think we need to put everything on the table here, see how it can be best used. And it's not just about nostalgia, and I know there's a huge connection to folks having a zoo here, but it is about animal care. It's about the possibility of creating new habitats. And once again, I don't know what these details will look like. Finally, I am certainly not opposed to any and all zoos. But I will say, and once again, I don't mean, this is not a disrespectful comment, but when people talk about kissing pigs, that's not what this stuff should be about. I have had the extreme pleasure and opportunity to be in Africa, and the first time I ever saw giraffes in the wild, despite seeing them numerous times in zoos, I couldn't believe they existed. It just seemed, I came around a bend and there were about 20 giraffes. They just didn't seem real to me. It was such a moving experience. And I think that a lot of people, when they see a heron or a different animal, feel the same way. Time's up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Doug Zeldin.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Doug Zeldin. I want to say I helped build the park also. I've been in this neighborhood for many, many years. And I think that the reason we are all here today is because we want a zoo. We don't want anything else but a zoo here. It is our tax money that goes to the city. And this is our neighborhood. One of the reasons we moved to this neighborhood and we are living in this neighborhood is because we like the neighborhood the way it is, not because we want the neighborhood to change. And I want everyone to be here to really push that monies should possibly come from corporations, possibly should come from private donations, whatever it takes, including our tax dollars, to bring our zoo back up to par, not to build a nature preserve. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce Ira Peltz. And I think some of the kids would like to come up here and stand behind you. So
Come on,
kids,
come on, guys.
Hi guys. First of all, good morning. My name is Ira Peltz, and with the exception of a few years spent living in Israel, I've had the pleasure of being a resident of West Rogers Park since 1995 when I started law school. This is not just about a zoo or nostalgia, as somebody correctly said. This is about making this a neighborhood where my 5 children and everybody's children will feel welcome and feel like they have a place to go. We all look at the news, we all see what's going on, we all know what happens when we let our parks fall into disrepair. Be it the dismantling of a zoo with no clear viable option clearly articulated. Jennifer said that she was at a meeting, they presented information, but it wasn't clear. That's not how it should work, folks. When somebody comes to you with a plan, the plan should be articulated. Somebody who's in power, who's trying to make this decision that we have to live with should say, X isn't working, we are proposing Y, here's what Y is, here's what it costs, here's why we think it's better. And all of the reading I've done on this tells me that that hasn't happened yet. And that's the first thing that we have to be able to expect. Now, I'm not a zoologist, I'm a lawyer, I mind a different type of zoo. We call it a courtroom. But the fact of the matter is that we have a right as citizens of this neighborhood, as residents, as people who pay property taxes, to expect the people that we've enacted with a public trust to handle the money that we pay, that I'm sure none of us have just lying around, that we pay twice a year in property taxes, to do the job right. The second thing is, as an attorney, I represent a lot of property owners dealing with issues with the city. And I've seen time and time again, as a professional dealing with the city administrations and the Department of Administrative Hearings in court, I see it as a member of AYSO's board where we had to literally arm wrestle the park district to get Rogers Park reseeded. I see that the people who have taken the mantles of power in our neighborhood here, in our community, in our ward, have not necessarily been responsible for looking out for our best interests. And the fact of the matter is that this, whether it's this issue, whether it's the state of our streets, whether it's the economic disrepair that Toohey Avenue or other parts of this neighborhood have fallen into, today needs to send a message to our leadership. This is our zoo, this is our park, this is our neighborhood, we live here. If you want the job of representing us, talk to us, find out what we're thinking, and work with us to come up with something that's in our best interest as the people who have to live here. So I hope we're able to save the zoo, and I hope today is the first step in taking back our neighborhood for the benefit of the people that live here. Thank you very much.
Well, that's it here today at Indian Punji Park Zoo. The park and the zoo, which have been here since the early part of the century, have been a mainstay, very important part of the West Rogers Park West Ridge community. And those who have come together today for this rally are here because they want to see the zoo remain and the park be kept up. We want to thank you for being with us, and hope you'll stay with us every week at this time. Remember, if you want to send us an email, the email address is info@tvrabbi.com. I'll be happy to forward it to the Indian Boundary Park Zoo Council, and I'm sure they'll get back to you if you have any questions. Remember, you can check out our website at www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see former shows on the web. Hope to see you next time right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
And I'm talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug on your TV show.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.